Joining us now, our senior correspondent in Richmond covering the 2018 Virginia General Assembly, Tommie McNeil. Tommie, good to have you on today.
Good morning, John.
We had quite the night last night on CNN, as you probably have heard. No doubt about it.
Indeed,
yes. Let's get to the General Assembly. Committee assignments, what's been some of the reaction? Tell us what's going on.
All right. So today I'm hoping to hear more. I spent the day yesterday following up with the Democrats after committee assignments. And the reason being is because for the most part, they said that they were happy with the committee assignments, the responsibility of Speaker Cox to designate who serves on each of those committees. The makeup right now is mostly 12 Republicans and 10 Democrats on each one of those committees. There are a few exceptions. Now, the issue that they're having right now is that, one, Charnel Herring, who is a caucus leader, is only on two committees. And speaking with Delegate Herring, she is hoping that that is an oversight. There are some freshman delegates who got more committee assignments than she did. And again, they want to find out whether or not that's an oversight. The other thing is Danica Rome, who unseated Republican Bob Marshall, had a campaign focused on transportation. She got one of the committee assignments she asked for, but did not get the transportation assignment that she asked for. Meanwhile, Bob Thomas, who is another freshman delegate, did get seated on transportation. Again, they're cautiously optimistic that that is an oversight. I asked, how do they fix this? How does, what would satisfy this? And they're hoping that Speaker Cox will reassign some of those folks.
Well, listen, if you get to Danica Rome, I mean, she ran her campaign basically on one issue, and that was that highway in Prince William. What is it, Route 28 or something?
Right.
I mean, she ran her entire campaign on that. She ran ads on it. And that's basically what she said separated the key issue that separated herself between Bob Marshall. And she took the other stuff out of it and made that the centerpiece of her campaign. For her not to be on transportation really doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, you'd have to be politically blind not to see that. And I would view that as a bad move for the speaker, not only politically, but just I think she needs to be on transportation because she made that the centerpiece of her campaign. So we'll see if it's an oversight. What is their process? Do they go to the speaker's office? Do they send a memo? I mean, how do they get reconsidered for some of the committees that they're not on that they think they should be on?
I did try to sift through that a little bit. I didn't get a clear answer. That's what I was hoping for today. What I do know is that they, upon realizing what the committee assignments were, they decided to establish a dialogue with the speaker and see how it could be remedied. And I spent most of the day yesterday waiting to see if that had in fact been remedied or what the process was. And I was told that I'd probably hear something today. I will also say, I want to point out that something that is very interesting is Ben Klein. He has been appointed chair of militia police and public safety. I talked to him afterwards. I actually talked to Philip Van Cleve with the Virginia Citizens Defense League. When you think about that particular committee, first thing that comes to mind is guns and gun control. And there was a question as to whether or not Speaker Cox was going to put someone who had a strong opinion on gun rights. And Ben Klein is one of the most praised members of the General Assembly by the BCDL. And I asked him, your thoughts on being appointed chair of this committee. And he said, in short, the speaker felt that I was going to hold the line on advancing gun control legislation, and that's what I'm here for. So when you talk about guns and gun controls and all the measures that the Democrats are submitting right now, they may not even make it out of committee because of Ben Klein and some of the other people who were appointed to this particular committee.
So if Klein is on the committee, why would that hamper some of the legislation? It's not going to get out of committee because Klein is going to look at it and he's going to be able, what you say, marshal enough of his majority to just clamp it down, right?
Correct.
Okay, so now here's the other political angle here. Ben Klein running for Congress, 6 districts, 6 people in that race. The big three, Chaz Haywood, Ben Klein and Cynthia Dunbar. So Klein has been backed by many of the House members. Obviously, he's their colleague in this race. Do you think that may have played into his assignment a little bit, Tommie? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it could, but again, if you follow the VCDL, if you I get some of their memos. I follow what they put out, and they consistently, every legislative session, every election cycle, they endorse certain candidates, and Ben Klein has consistently been one of those folks that they elevate, and so it makes sense that if you're the party who is about pushing for, freedom of Second Amendment rights, then it would make sense to put someone like Klein on that committee. So I don't know if that was part of their agenda to help him with a congressional run, but it does make sense considering his past.
Right, no question. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're with Tommie McNeil. He's our senior correspondent for the John Fredericks Radio Network covering the 2018 Richmond General Assembly. Tommie, it's always good to have your input. Terry McAuliffe's speech the other night, his farewell speech, he outlined some of the accomplishments that he had. As you know, I believe he has been an outstanding governor. I give him an A, and only reason I don't give him an A plus is they had that failed deal with the Chinese company where the economic development end of the governor's office gave $1 million, and it was a scam, and they didn't properly vet that. But look, I mean, he's had no scandals. He's signed no legislations that have hurt the state. He's brought millions of jobs in. He's been a tireless worker. I think his policies have been sound. He's been pro-pipeline. He's pro-business. And I think he's got a great track record. So I applaud his effort, and I think he's been an outstanding governor. And I personally hate to see him leave. Now, what was the reaction on both sides of the aisle? What is Terry McAuliffe's legacy here?
I definitely think he's, when you talk about the restoration of rights, that's one issue. He has been about economic development. And honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, other than myself, I think the governor's the only person I know who goes as long as they do without sleep. So he's very aggressive. He's very ambitious. He stays on the go. If there's something that he said he wants to accomplish, he's going to move forward with that until he gets what he wants. And he laid out a very aggressive agenda for business. He also laid out an aggressive agenda for being socially acceptable, no matter your race, your color, your creed, your sexual identity. I think some of the legislation that he signed in regards to that and LGBT rights, that's part of the legacy that he leaves behind, opening up Virginia to be more accepting of people regardless of their background. I think that's something that Governor-elect Ralph Northam is going to try to, push. I don't know if he's got big enough, feet to fill those shoes, but, that's what he's going to attempt to do. I think those are the things that stand out when it comes to Governor McAuliffe.
Look, and I'm glad you mentioned his advocacy of the gay community, because he's really fought hard to get people to change the way they see this, and he's fought hard for equality. As everybody knows, Tommie, that's ever tuned me in for 2 seconds. I am a very ardent pro-gay rights Republican. I've been fighting this battle for, about 4 decades. It's been a very lonely battle for a long time. And I think this is going to be one of the governor's legacies, and it's one thing that Virginians can be proud of. And that's why I thought the election of Danica in her district, and no slight on Bob. I thought Bob did a fabulous job for his constituents, Bob Marshall. But I thought the election of Danica Rome was important for Virginia, and I was happy to see that she had won. So I think that is part of his legacy. What do Republicans say? Honestly, I mean, you have the public statements that they have to say, and they kind of made fun of him on Twitter and things like that, the various organizations. But when you talk to Republicans, you don't have to give me names, back room. What do they really think of this governor?
They don't take anything away from him in terms of his zeal and his passion He is a great spokesperson and for his caucus. They don't deny that. I think part of their resentment is he's a great spokesperson, a great champion for the causes of his caucus. But at the same time, I think that's the other thing that they resent about him is that he's too partisan. They think that he's way too partisan. And listen, when he came into office, he did have kind of it's my way or the highway. This is what I want, and this is what I'm going to get. And, they didn't want to hear that.
Right. Look, but he tempered that. I mean, I remember, Tommie, and I'm going back down memory lane here, but I remember he first got elected, and one of the first speeches he made, he came to the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce, breakfast or lunch, I don't remember what it was. And, he came in, he had just gotten elected. It was very bombastic, and he outlined his vision and all the things that he was going to get done, Medicaid expansion being one of them. And he didn't really engage the Republicans, and he didn't understand that Bill Howell, the speaker with a supermajority, ran the Commonwealth. They just didn't, he had just won a big victory. And so I thought his first year in office was very rocky. But then he kind of figured it out. And they were able to work together on a lot of important legislation, whether it be concealed weapon reciprocity that the governor personally brokered. But why some Republicans get mad at him is because they look at his national statements and his things that he does nationally, and that gets thrown into the mix because people can't separate it out. So, they don't like his association with the Clintons. Then we go to the Green Company golf cart scam that he was involved in Mississippi and the Clinton Foundation and some of those comments he made. But look, his legacy as governor, I think, is going to be a solid one in Virginia. More importantly, though, Tommie, this governor's legacy for the Democratic Party of Virginia and the machine that he has built through his political action committee because of the money that he's raised and the fact that he kept all these employees on through each cycle. That legacy for Virginia Democrats winning elections is going to play out in this Virginia, Tommie, for a very long time.
I believe so.
So, okay, what's the top agenda item today?
Today, I think it's still going to be a dust-settling day. I don't expect many fireworks. I expect they're going to convene at noon or maybe even 11:30. I'm not absolutely sure. It's a short day. It's the first week of session. I think that it's the period for adjustment for many people. I would probably guess around 2 o'clock, you'd be hard-pressed to find many legislators still in the area. A lot of them are probably going to go home, relax, and get ready for the grind come Monday, because really Monday is when everything picks up. And another thing, you've got inauguration.
Right.
There are going to be a lot of people preparing for inauguration. It's going to be a long night. I don't expect them to be conducting business very late in the day today.
Well, speaking of that, my wife Ann and I will be at the Ralph Northam inauguration ball on Saturday night. We got invited to that, and we're looking forward to being there. All right, we got a couple more minutes, Tommie. You got any interesting?
I have a message for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a message for you.
What is it?
I followed up on a question that you asked last week, and that was whether or not on an issue, the specific issue of Medicaid expansion, if there was a tie in the Senate, whether or not Lieutenant Governor-elect Justin Fairfax would break the tie. Now, again, under a normal bill, absolutely, he would break the tie. Your question was later, what if it becomes a budget bill? And I got different opinions on that. Mm-hmm. But the first person I asked was Senator Rosalind Dance in a meeting. Mm-hmm. And she deferred to Senator Louise Lucas.
Ah, yes.
I actually, got in a little bit of trouble for even asking that question, because they felt like I put something in the air. They don't want it to come to a tie. And a few minutes later, in comes, of all people, Lieutenant Governor-elect Justin Fairfax. Finally, Senator Lucas said, "Who's asking all these questions?" And I said, "John Fredericks." And she said, "You know what? You tell my friend John Fredericks to give me a call, to call me. If he wants to know, call me." So that's the message from Senator Louise Lucas. Also, the message from Senator Rosalind Dance, who you predicted wouldn't win her election. She says, is this the same guy who said that I wouldn't win my election? I said, yeah, that's the same guy.
Yes, I have to eat a lot of crow
Tell him to call me as well.
Eat a lot of crow with Roz Dance. Okay, so your job is to bring a message back to Louise from me today. You got to do it today. You got to get over there. You got to do it today. My message back to Louise is I am 110% behind her Virginia casino legislation to bring casino gambling to Portsmouth. And I want to be the first one at her hotel, and I'm going to stand on the rooftop and do my show there and tell her that I'm 110% behind her, and we can get rid of the jail, and we can put a casino there up, and she's got my unequivocal backing on that enthusiastically. Tell her that. Louise Lucas finally has an opportunity to bring that casino to Portsmouth, right?
He's been pushing for this a long time.
I know, and I've been 100% about it. And, you know, I had Bill Hull on my show. Oh, this was like 2013, and I asked him about it. He hesitated a minute, and he said, there will be casino gambling in Virginia under my cold, dead body. And I said, I'll take that as a no. But now he retired, right? And you got all those Democrats in there. So look, let's get casino gambling to Portsmouth and tell Louise I'm 100% behind it. John Fredericks Radio Network, Trucking the Truth.